Hi there. I'm going to try something a little different this time. I've seen some YouTube videos claiming that the Denver basic income pilot didn't work, and there isn't an article by Scott Santens on this, on what actually did happen, but there is a Twitter thread, and I thought what I'd do is I'd read Scott's Twitter thread, which is going to be a little different. I'm not Scott Santens. My name's Tom Poxon. I've sort of done this before. Scott's kind of a world expert on basic income. Who's been working on it since 2013. I've been working on basic income as a subject since about 2020. I'm on Twitter. You can find me at BasicPC, Tom the BI Vic PC guy, and probably one of my bigger contributions is on YouTube called the Playlist List, which and the UBI Now series. The playlist list you can find in some of my links. I usually put them down below. And that links you out to all these different playlists on YouTube. But anyway, let's get on with the Twitter thread. So he's basically responding to someone named Noah Smith, who said this is a really disappointing result for basic income in Denver. And you can find this thread yourself. It was dated 27th of June, 27th of June, 2024, at 8:07 in the morning. Scott's response, which starts with a quote tweet. Okay, I'm going to need to write a full in-depth article about this stuff. I think he got busy with another article about the Sam Altman thing, which you can find elsewhere. But anyway. But it already reminding me of the Finland UBI pilot and how lots of people think that failed when it didn't. It makes perfect sense to read a tweet like Noah's and think the Denver pilot failed. If you look at just the right charts along with the rhetoric that expresses disappointment without reading the full reports yourself, you can think you know all you need to know, but you don't. And there are people out there who count on you not reading and understanding studies. The Denver pilot, which is still ongoing, uses three groups. Group A gets $1,000 a month. Group B gets $6,500 in month one, and $500 a month after that. Group C gets $50 a month. However, all groups got a phone along with a plan or a planned stipend, and all groups were connected to helpful orgs. Clearly, this means we can't treat Group C as a typical control group because so many people experiencing homelessness aren't getting available help, and good luck creating a true control group for this particular population. The question is, how does an amount of UBI interact? Noah's post points to the similarity in the group's outcomes at 10 months. Shouldn't $1,000 a month plus the existing supports provide much better impacts than $50 a month and existing supports? Well, if we look at those who started unsheltered, there was indeed a difference. Noah didn't share this. Shows, let's see, the percentage of unsheltered participants in house, and there's a graph here, and in house or apartment they rent or own at time point 1 and time point 3. For time point 1, I don't see much change, but at time point 3, the increase for Group A was 43%, Group B 25%, and Group C was 28%, 50%. I'm just going to interject here. The people getting the $50 a month, that's still technically a UBI. I mean, like, one of my favorite things I'm working on kind of a film script about it, is the Madhya Pradesh basic income pilot that happened from 2010 to 2013. And as Sarath Davala, who was the research director on it, said, we only gave them like the equivalent in rupees of like $5. And it still had these amazing effects. So you're giving these folks $50 a month on a regular basis unconditionally. That's still a basic income. Now, it's not a basic income in terms of like the whole town of Denver didn't get one, but it's still that kind of like basic income pilot-esque thing of we're going to help these people. Like a lot of the mayors for a guaranteed income, that's what they were kind of doing. They were like, well, I want to test this thing out too. I want to try it too because it works so well over in Stockton. How can I, like, who can I help? Okay, who really needs help in my community? These unhoused people. I'll go to them. And yeah, my Google Home thing just kicked off. I'll just wait for it to... There we go. Okay, back to Scott. There's also the observation that full-time employment increased for Group A and B, but went down for C. Usually that's the only thing anyone cares about in any basic income pilot. Interestingly, in this one, no one cares who goes around claiming that UBI makes people lazy. What adds even more nuance to this study is Group C, the one with $50 a month, got more existing support than Groups A and B. People in Groups A and B got less SNAP, so food stamps, or even stopped getting it. They also got less SSI due to their income increases, and paid more for any Section 8 vouchers. This is important. I'm gonna do my own thing, and then I'm gonna read the thing that he shows a picture of. Basically, they didn't set it up so that it wouldn't affect their current income support. Yeah, this is important because, like, all of a sudden, yeah, you've gained this, but you've lost this, right? So what was in the thing impact to current benefits, right? Across the board, participants reported consistently that SNAP benefits dropped since they had to claim Denver Basic Income Pilot as income. A few people lost SNAP benefits because it pushed them over the edge. A few participants mentioned in passing how their subsidized housing costs had increased based on their additional monthly income from Denver Basic Income Pilot. In Group C, most participants maintained benefits. Some people were now working on accessing SSI and SSDI now that they had a buffer. In quote, Denver Basic Income Pilot saved me because I still hadn't gotten help with the disability applications, but thankfully I have more documentation about my physical and mental health disabilities from being in the hospital. Overall, participants found Denver Basic Income Pilot easier to access and more generous and flexible than other benefits, making it more beneficial for them to keep Denver Basic Income Pilot than to drop it to maintain other benefits. Food stamps, you can only use it on food. Any other benefits, you can only use it on those bills, and oftentimes you can't do it because you're using cash to pay someone else's bill, because they're letting you have a place to stay. With Denver Basic Income Pilot, you can use that cash on anything you want. That makes a huge difference. Several participants noted that they expected to return to original benefits after Denver Basic Income Pilot. People like to claim that we can't just give people money with no strings and must provide services in kind and strings. Noah looks at one graph showing small differences between the groups. But if groups A and B got UBI instead of existing welfare, which C got, then just do UBI. But it's also not accurate to say there was no important differences between the groups. I already mentioned the employment differences and how the best outcome was for Group A, but here's another. Selling blood plasma went down by 60% for A and B. It went up 70% for C. Another thing UBI naysayers love to claim is that people will just waste it on drugs. But yet again, as observed over and over again, there was no such impact of statistical significance, especially in Group A, who got $1,000 a month. All this too is just numbers. I suggest reading the qualitative report to help understand the numbers better. This also happens to be something some otherwise very knowledgeable people don't particularly appreciate doing. Full qualitative report is at the Denver Basic Income Pilot. Okay, so DBIP/Y. Here's another story that got my attention. Someone in Group A/B was driving without insurance and used their money to buy insurance. This didn't change their ability to drive, but it did mean no longer stressing out what could happen if they got caught or in an accident. Another difference was between Groups A and B and C was goal setting. Basically, those with $1,000 or $500 a month in UBI started to be able to see a future. Group C didn't. Don't tell me that doesn't matter and there's no difference between those things. It's a big thing to think bigger. There's also something else about Group C that makes me question the accuracy of their responses. The report mentions how several people in Group C expected eventually to get rewarded with the same UBI amounts that A and B got, in which case perhaps their responses were rosier. In conclusion, there were in fact important differences for those provided $1,000 a month or $6,500 plus $500 a month, and where there were surprisingly small differences between the so-called control group. It's because that group got the most existing welfare and were better helped by existing supports. How well Group C did also says a lot. About how what really matters to helping people what really matters to helping get people housed is to actually help them and treat them well. $50 a month can be surprisingly useful. So can a phone. So can orgs who want to help. But all of that still isn't enough, and we need to do more. We know what doesn't work, and that's what we've been doing. We can't just have targeted welfare and charities and say it's up to those in need to help themselves. We need to treat people with dignity, and we need to provide a universal floor that's always there, excluding no one. Thanks for listening.